Do it again.
I love this thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Let's call this meeting to order. Happy New Year to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
This is a new year, 2026. It is 2026. This is Wednesday, January 21. 2026 is around 6 o'clock in the evening. We have a follow-up for our climate survey. And I'm going to ask how beautiful. Our young
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Say it a little louder, please.
I would like to ask our director, Ms. Sears, Ms. McCormick, and Ms. Layton to present to us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We're here to update you on what's happening with the climate survey. And I think.
Do we control the slides?
Oh.
Right, thank you, Katie.
Is that thing? Is it? I just did.
Just
going. Thank you.
You got that.
All right, so this evening, we're going to talk about the background of the employee climate survey, a little bit about its development. Then we'll go into the actions that we're taking based on the results. I'll talk briefly about the factor analysis, which helped us pare down the questions and to kind of focus those questions. And then we'll end with talking a little bit about our plan for our pulse survey.
Can you hear?
Absolutely.
Test.
Ooh. Excellent. All right, so we're going to go into the background, and Casey will give us the climate survey origin story.
Thanks, Ashley. Hello. Thank you, board, for having us here tonight. Casey Layton, Chief Culture and Impact Officer at the college, for the record. I'm actually really excited about this work. I'm very proud of this work. I'm going to be reading some notes because I don't want to miss any of the important points that I have planned for you tonight. Although there were other contributing factors or reasons to offer a climate survey, officially documenting our intentions happened through the work of the CCC strategic plan. The climate survey was a strategic action for both the organizational health and the DEI strategic priorities. These two implementation teams both chose a liaison to sit on the climate survey project work group. We began with a literature review of best practices for workplace climate assessment and examined previous college surveys to identify gaps and opportunities. Using this research, we drafted the survey and then tested it through focus groups. Some of those focus groups were identity-based groups to gather feedback on categories, clarity, and relevance. We refined and finalized the survey based on the input received. Before launching the survey, we held information sessions to explain its purpose, what to expect, and how results would be used. After distributing the survey, we analyzed the results using established methods. We shared the findings in all staff meetings and provided time for questions and explained both the process and the outcomes. The full results are posted on our internal website to ensure transparency and access. Ongoing access.
Thank you. So we had a really high response rate. Overall, for our full-time employees, we had a 77% response rate, which is one of the best ones we ever see for employees, even for the required one we have to do for DEQ. Overall, we had a 45% response rate. You'll see a little bit lower for associate or part-time faculty, and that's because the way that they stay in our system, for 5 terms before they are end dated. So there's a lot of those folks who are not actually teaching that term, but they were still given the opportunity to participate, and some did. One of the big findings for the survey, before we go into the ones that are tied to the action
items that we're taking is that job satisfaction was really high. 95% of employees agreed that they are satisfied with their job. And when we looked at a lot of the comments that were written, the vast majority of them were about something positive about the college, about feeling like they belong, like they're valued, and that they really like being here. It was a great opportunity to work here. Really, really high job satisfaction. So the rest of this will highlight some of those other main takeaways, but tied to the actions that we're going to take based on the findings. So employees are taking action on the climate survey results across the college, but we've selected actions that affect multiple departments or divisions. They were identified as areas needing focused effort around improvement. And these are the ones that we're going to be tracking and continuing to report on.
My turn at the microphone. Hi, everyone. So as wonderful it was to hear that 95% of our employees are satisfied with their jobs, there were some findings that were a concern to the college, and that President Cook actually charged one of our shared governance councils, specifically the People and Culture Council, with addressing. So People and Culture Council is specifically concerned with the people, the employees of the college, and the culture at the college. And one of the findings that was most concerning that was that 30% of our employees reported that they had seen or witnessed mean or disrespectful behavior amongst our employees. And so that stood out as something that certainly we don't want to see, that it can lead to the reversing that job satisfaction, and that we wanted to address. So one of the first steps that the policy committee of our People and Culture Council is doing is to put together a respectful workplace policy and to really set the standard for how we expect people to behave toward each other and to engage with each other and our students while they're at the college. I'm happy to report that we've just gone through our second round of Cougar Pause on the respectful workplace policy, and excited with what feedback we've received from our employees, specifically some of our younger, less empowered employees and people of color. So we'll be looking forward to sharing an update on that when we come back and update you on the next pulse survey. So the next thing that we are taking action on is this finding that 44% of our employees reported that they could not find the information they needed to actually do their jobs. And this could be something like a travel voucher, how to report, thank you, Ashley, how to submit a service desk ticket, how to find a policy, any of that, where to find maps of the campus. We really struggle with sharing information and knowledge management transfer with our employees, especially our new employees. So in response to that, we have an organizational learning committee that is part of our People and Culture Council. They are implementing a brand new internal SharePoint site. So they're updating our internal access and basically what our intranet is. We launched with the consultants last week. And just to be clear, SharePoint is a tool we already have. And so what we're doing is we're making that information much more accessible. That group will be working with departments to figure out what information needs to go on that site and how to make it accessible to employees. So we're super excited. I remember being a new employee myself, and the college is a pretty complex place. And if you can't figure out how to get to the Dye Learning Center for your next meeting, it's really, it's hard. It's hard to kind of show up and do your job. So excited about that. The other thing that we wanted to talk about was specifically, and for those of you who don't know, I am the college's Chief Human Resources Officer. So we did really want to address one of the findings that was most troubling to me, which was dissatisfaction with support provided by HR. So we knew going into the climate survey that the HR team had seen tremendous transition and also extended leaves from some of our employees. So our team of 8 was down to 3 in the summer of 2023. And we knew that there were service impact delays. We had difficulty responding to our service desk tickets. We were hard to meet with and connect with because there weren't that many of us that were trying to support the college. And that showed in the survey. So we appreciated the opportunity to get this feedback. And I'm here to say that I'm so happy with how my team has responded. We are fully staffed. We use this as an opportunity to redesign our service ticket. So I don't know how many of you know that we have a service desk ticket. So an employee can submit a service desk ticket. We asked our most frequent flyers, so those that use our service desk ticket, those ticket systems the most, to help us redesign it. That's worked out well. We redesigned our web information, all of our intranet access, and I have to say, I think the team has really turned this around. but it is really hard to deliver service in a complex environment without the team you need. And the team is there and we're engaging. But it is important. We'll continue to test this and check in with the college community. When Ashley talks to you about the pulse survey, it'll be something that we test in September, which will be about 2 years out from the last results. So next, it's hard to hold the microphone and do this. All right, okay, passing it back to you.
Yeah, the next one that we pulled out to focus on was heavy workload. So about 40% of employees said they never or sometimes have enough time in a week to complete all their tasks without working extra hours. This was really concentrated amongst administrators and also full-time faculty, especially department chairs. And those groups were also more likely to say that they were working while they were out sick or on vacation. So a couple of things that we're doing for this is David Plotkin, Vice President of Instruction and Student Services, is working on the second part of our INSS, or Instruction and Student Services redesign. The first part was about moving departments into different locations in the college where they were more aligned in their work with those areas. The second part is to look at the work of the department chairs, what they're doing versus what the administration is doing. So we're working on that right now. And then in addition to that, administration and executive leadership are actively refining our institutional focus and priorities to reduce that workload fatigue and create those more sustainable work expectations for employees, which actually leads me to and is connected to the second one. For a lot of these employees who are identifying heavy workload as an issue is unclear strategic direction. So about 20% of employees disagreed that the college has set a clear direction for the future. So this was in general more concentrated in employees in leadership positions. So again, administration, but also department chairs. Those are the folks who are really responsible for translating the college's goals into actions or operational changes for their departments. And those are the folks who are more likely to say that this was unclear. So the president and executive team are leading efforts to start working on the college's next strategic plan, and that will include our new Dean of Institutional Effectiveness and Planning and Innis. Woo woo. And we're going to go to Casey.
Thanks. The executive team received fewer ratings than other individuals or groups in the survey. For example, my team or my supervisor, likely indicating employees know less about this group. So employees are saying, I know my boss and I know my team, but I don't know a lot about the executive team because they don't necessarily, their proximity to the executive team is a little further away. This was expected. This is an expected pattern of like a lower rating for individuals and groups who are farther removed from the employee. That does not mean that this doesn't indicate some really difficult work that's ahead of us to help make ourselves be more present for the employees. Communication really is a challenge, no matter where you are or what you're doing, if it's an interpersonal relationship or with others to a larger institution. And so the executive team is prioritized increased communications with the college community, and examples include all staff meetings on critical topics such as the federal updates that we've been doing, budget updates, and our president, President Cook, has started conversations with President Cook for ongoing dialogue, which is basically an open time where anyone can come, sit with President Cook and ask him whatever they like to ask him, which puts him basically, it's an open town hall of sorts and can ask him whatever that draws up dialogue for basically a back and forth exchange between employees.
We're good. All right. So I'm going to go into the factor analysis, and a factor analysis is a bunch of different statistical tests that happen. So I'm not going to go into those details. That would not be fun. But what I am going to do is give you a little bit of a metaphor. So a factor analysis, if I were to say, let's have all the employees rate these 100 songs, and they're just going to rate which ones they like, you would end up with some employees who like Stairway to Heaven. They probably also like Bohemian Rhapsody. They probably also like Hotel California. And then you would have some other employees, and they might like R.E.S.P.E.C.T. by Miss Aretha Franklin. They might like I Heard It Through the Grapevine. They might like At Last by Etta James. And those employees are going to kind of cluster together. You'll have those employees who really like rock music, and you have employees who really like soul or R&B. And you can fight me over if I've included the right genres. I'm sorry. So those songs are clustering together because they share something deeper, an underlying sort of genre, or if you hang out with a lot of Gen Z or Gen Alpha, the vibe of the song. Yeah. So factor analysis does the same thing with the climate survey questions. We ask employees to rate many different aspects of their work experience. So things like I feel valued or communication is clear. And that helps us see which questions employees tend to answer similarly because they're all tapping into the same underlying workplace experience or vibe. So just like discovering that certain songs cluster together into rock music or soul or R&B, we determine that certain survey questions cluster into meaningful themes about workplace culture. And those themes are, drum roll. Thank you. These 9 factors is what came out. So I'm just going to go through them briefly. The first is supervisor communication and support. So this is about how employees experience their direct supervisor in their day-to-day interactions. The next one is supportive, sustainable work environment. So this is about employees feeling safe and supported in speaking up about their ideas and their concerns and about that workload. The next is the executive team leadership and communication. So this reflects employees' perceptions of the executive team's leadership and how that affects the overall direction of the college. Dignity and job satisfaction. So this is employees' overall sense of worth and empowerment and their pride in working at CCC. Organizational support for DEI learning. So this is how strongly CCC leadership at all levels prioritizes DEI, and it captures whether supervisors, their supervisors, and then executive team model their own DEI learning, communicating expectation that folks participate in DEI learning and application, and then making sure that there are opportunities to do so. The next is peer relationships and collegiality. So this reflects how supportive, respectful, and kind the day-to-day work environment feels. Feedback and learning culture. This is about how much employees engage in two-way feedback. So if employees listen to feedback, they learn from it and offer one another constructive guidance and support. The second level, supervisor respect and support. I feel like I say supervisors 100 times, but it's the supervisor's supervisor is what this category is looking at. So this reflects how employees experience their supervisor's supervisor as a leader and as a person. So it focuses on whether that leader is honest, communicates with kindness, cares about employees, and helps staff feel personally valued. And the last one is belonging and acceptance. So this factor reflects employees' sense of being personally accepted and valued by their immediate team and their close coworkers, so people that they're spending a lot of time with. So this factor analysis process, which I joked with Vice President Plotkin that I should get a PhD for. Something about NWCCU rules or something, I don't know. So the factor analysis brought the questions down from about 200 questions to about 70 questions that are concentrated within these 9 factors. So that's what I would consider our new core survey. This will be the one that we use moving forward. But we actually, for our pulse survey, we take a subset of those. So it's even smaller. It's about 25 questions. So we take that pulse survey and say, let's just do a quick check-in. Let's make sure that we're hitting all 9 of those factors. And then we add in any other questions that are maybe not part of those core items, but are one of the things that we're tracking as part of the actions that we shared. So for example, support from HR, that's not part of one of those core 9 factors, but it is something that we will be asking about to make sure that we are measuring that over time. Yeah, so this pulse survey will be doing this during fall in-service in September, as Melissa mentioned, and then we'll be getting a report no later than winter term 2027, which seems like far away, but as the person doing the analysis, it's really close. All right, do you all have any questions for us?
Only one question came to mind for me, and that was how the town hall and questioning for Tim went, and how frequently you expect to do it, and what your thoughts on how it went?
Actually, oh gosh, we've had 3 or 4 of them now. They're about every month, and we try to do them on different campuses too. they're completely open-ended, so I never know who's going to show up. I think I've had as few as 5 or 6 people and as many as maybe 30 people show up for those. And gosh, we talk about all sorts of things. So, there obviously the things you'd expect, questions about budget, concerns about that, lots of questions about federal impacts, and those types of things. And then there are some other just questions about things happening at the college. I'm trying to think of one. I just had one maybe it was this week, last week, recently, in this room. There were questions, we're talking about the tuition waivers, and doing an analysis of where you got tuition waivers. You knew that from last year. And there were questions about how we're going about that process. Oftentimes, the student newspaper will show up and they'll have questions for me about things happening at the college. So it's I have to be on my toes because but you never know what's going to come up. But at the same time, it's kind of it's more of a conversation. So I don't really worry about it. If I don't know the answer, I say I don't know the answer, and I get back to them on it. But I think they've been really good.
And I realize it's probably hard to quantify or maybe even answer this. How do you feel can you measure improvement?
Yeah, that's the hard part about it. I think, for me, part of it's about access and, and making sure that people feel like they have access, and getting that done. So improvement, is difficult to tell because I know if there's a controversial topic happening at the college, I'll get a large turnout. There will be a lot of people that will want to come and talk about that and the rest. I don't know if that's testing improvement, right? It's just more about interest. So it's a good question for Ashley, actually, how we might measure that, this activity in particular in relation to everything else. And, in response to, do I, now I'm going to get the question wrong, but how do I feel about, the executive team and how they communicate, that this is one factor of that. Communication's challenging in this environment. I also send a monthly email describing all the things happening at the college. Does everybody read that? No. There's a number of different ways we do it. So it's one of those factors. So I don't know, if we'll get at improvement specifically for it. I don't know, you might have some more thoughts about whether we'd be able to tell how much this is helping, but
You wouldn't probably be able to say if this is helping by itself, but as part of
Yeah.
because we didn't decide to measure it and see who was going. And then we could still ask in a survey, did you attend one of these? And if you did, how do you think that affected your perception of the executive team or the perception of the college?
I assume it builds relationships and probably everyone becomes more comfortable with you.
I hope so. I mean, I obviously do what I've always done and try to walk around and talk to people and have individual conversations. And, what I've found since COVID is it's harder to find people. Some people are working virtually or, here and the rest. And so we have to get creative. My hope, on these things is that we don't do them too much where people get kind of used to it and just don't show up. But that it becomes an opportunity to have conversation because I ask too what's going on, what do I need to know, what's on their mind, and so hopefully it's more of a two-way conversation.
I'm happy to hear it. Sounds like a good thing to do.
Mhm.
Hi, I had a few questions relating to the report for the climate survey. So one of the things that I noticed in it is that the sample size for the part-time staff and faculty was fairly low. And I think that you're right that like 5-year extension, it probably covers a lot of why that is. I saw that those groups are already getting like compensation to take the survey as like a motivator to do that. Are there plans to like increase motivators to get a better turnout for like the next round of surveys?
I don't have any plans to increase it at this moment.
Mm.
For the associate faculty who were teaching that term, I don't recall the number off the top of my head, but their response rate was much, much higher than just that kind of general pool of associate faculty.
Yeah, I saw that like
Yeah.
it was like a very direct correlation between how many like courses they taught that
Yep.
term versus the response rate.
Yep.
It was like a 1-to-1 almost. It was
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
and then
tried to make it easy for them by automatically processing their payment so they didn't have to submit anything. So
Mm.
we did all that behind the scenes. So we'll do that again.
cool. Yeah, and then I also saw that folks in the IEP division and the organizational support areas were kind of overrepresented in like dissatisfaction. And they seemed to have issues with like things getting added to their plate without like any workload being subtracted, and then more interpersonal issues. Was there an action plan related to that area?
There is some work happening in the IEP division with the new IEP dean, focusing on the issues that they have brought up. One of the things that we are tracking that is an action item that is related to some of the complaints from the IEP division was specifically like not understanding the college's strategic direction. So some of those folks, they're doing things related to assessment, they support the library, they're in charge of online learning. And so when they don't know, or they don't feel like they know that they have enough information about what's coming down the pike, then they feel like they can't support faculty. And so they're wanting some more information sooner. So I know that Ann Innes, the Dean of IEP, is working with them on that. Yay, Ann. Sorry, and then the other thing that you mentioned was the organizational support. So that's a lot of HR, it's the business office, and then it's the IT division as well. And CRM and DI are not in those organizational support divisions. Yeah, you're in the executive division. So what we talked about with those results is that a lot of what they're talking about is that they're service departments or really divisions. And so they're getting a lot of the dissatisfaction aimed directly at them, and people want something done right now. And so we believe that the work that's going to be happening with it, or that is happening with the respectful workplace policy, is really going to help with that. And then we want to speak to all the work that you did in HR to address the things like the service desk and all of that.
Yeah. So thank you for calling that out. We would call that college services, the organizational support divisions. And so that would be college safety and campus services, who actually had a better result than the business office, human resources and ITS. And so you can look at that in terms of there's a lot of opportunity for HR and the business office to say no. When anybody has a problem with their computer, they want it fixed right away. And ITS has had some challenges with cybersecurity and responded well to that. But we are doing some consistent things to support our teams. We spent a lot of time in HR, just team building and using appreciative inquiry lenses and trying to figure out how to reframe that. HR has redesigned our service desk. ITS is in the process of redesigning their service desk. So really trying to look at where the customer frustration is coming from and addressing it. But when we talk about mean and disrespectful behavior that people have witnessed, it's a lot of it directed at those teams and frustration. And I could give you many examples from my team. So it's a two-way street as well. We want to provide good customer service and we want people to be respectful. So we've had quite a few conversations in the dean's area around that and how to support our teams better, and then how to center customer service as a way to make sure folks get what they want. But as an advocate of the respectful workplace policy, I think that also goes to us establishing standards for what that looks like and reinforcing them. But it has been a struggle. And I do appreciate you calling that out, because we tend to talk about broad things at the college that are cross-departmental, and there were definitely differences in some of the experiences of the departments as they reported up.
I also just want to say we work at an organization where people work, and these are people issues that happen all the time. And there were actions and work being done on these things prior to the actual survey. The survey just allowed us an opportunity to capture that in a more formal way, because we hear things at the water cooler. We work on things regularly and have other programs. This was just one way to confirm some of the ways, like we had actual data to back those things that we were maybe hearing and working on more formally.
Sure, cool. I just had a couple more things. So I also noticed that people with disabilities seem to be a little bit overrepresented in terms of people that were like dissatisfied, but there weren't really any questions that could like get into why that is really. So I noticed there were questions about like, do you have easy access to getting new furniture? Do you have easy access to getting new technology? But there wasn't really anything about like, do you have access to getting accommodations for things that come up for short-term or long-term disabilities? So is there an action item around the dissatisfaction among people with disabilities, or a way to like add questions about like tapping into their access to things?
That was one of the things that just killed me about the survey, that I couldn't figure out why with all of the questions that were in there, I'm like, I didn't expect to see this. And I don't have any other data to help me figure out what's going on. So that's something that we will need to include in future surveys to understand what's going on. One thing that we did not do is that the disability, employees opted into indicating if they had a disability or not. We kept it very broad. It wasn't you have a physical disability, an emotional disability. We didn't ask those questions. And we also didn't verify or validate if they had an accommodation or disability on file with human resources. We did that on purpose because we wanted them to identify what they felt was happening for them. But no, we haven't figured out what that will be yet, but that is something we absolutely need to do. It was very confusing to me.
Yeah. Is that something that you can like add a question or two in on the Pulse one?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I will say, not to share too much confidential information, we don't actually have a lot of formal reasonable accommodations, and we don't see a lot of employees requesting a lot of reasonable accommodations. So I personally suspect that this might be stuff that's happening at the department level, or maybe they're not. We had a conversation too about are people not identifying the disability because they don't feel safe, and so they're having that experience, but they haven't actually asked for help because there's not a level of safety or comfort, or they don't want to identify that. So as Ashley said, we've had a lot of conversation about where that was coming from, and is it a safety question that they're not identifying? Because in general terms, our environments are pretty accessible relative to other environments. And in HR, we get some questions about accommodations, but not that many. So it seemed it's based on, if I compared our experience in HR versus what the survey said, it tells me there's a disconnect between what we're experiencing and what employees are reporting. And that I suspect could be a safety issue or a reluctance to identify whatever that disability is. Yep. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Cool. Can I just have one more? So then the last thing that I caught my attention was that, out of 900 employees, there were like 0 people that were comfortable identifying as transgender. Do you think that there's more that could be done to help people feel comfortable with that? And I know that there are issues that are much broader than just, this own campus for like white people might not want to identify that way in the current climate, but and then there were like a handful of folks that were okay identifying as non-binary. And again, that group seemed like overall to have more dissatisfaction. Is there anything being done with an action item for targeting that population?
Yeah. We don't have an action item around that, but we did do a project, just finished it maybe 2 years ago to redo how we were collecting and asking information about gender identity, sexual orientation, legal sex, chosen name, legal name. And that was for employees and for students. We did a huge project, used outside groups who work with lots of different populations, mostly LGBTQ youth. And so I think we've done a lot around that, and the students who participated in the focus groups felt like the language that we were using was very welcoming to them, and they hadn't seen that at any other institution that they had attended. But as far as doing something about that specifically, I don't know in the HR data how many employees we have you would.
I don't know. We don't ask.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that we don't ask. I mean, there's of course employment laws that we follow, and we don't want to communicate that that's important to us or that's more important than your skills and qualifications for the job. So we haven't gathered that data. We don't gather data on sexual orientation. And I will say that when we were putting the climate survey together, we were really careful about the demographics, the placement of the demographics, the language that we were using, and then of course they're not required responses. So we could have more trans folks that underreported. We could have folks that did feel comfortable. But in terms of in HR, we don't ask, and we don't keep numbers, and we don't have that data. Really, most importantly, because we don't want to tell folks, our employees, that we're centering their identity for them, or we're tracking, or we have numbers, and that's important to us. And I don't think we'll change that practice, but you bring up some really excellent points that I'm going to be honest, I don't think we've been asked in this detail. So I really appreciate it. I do.
I mean, maybe because of my office, the Cougar Leap office, there have been employees that have shared information. Whether or not they choose to share that out in other spaces is just challenging. Sometimes this is an ongoing conversation about like, what kind of campus are we? And that is such a personal choice, whether or not to share that information and how you tell someone else's story. So whether or not you even engage with them to actually have a group to say, what else would you need? Because they might say, I don't want to have this conversation. And then therefore me making decisions based on that feels out of place, like how to lead that work. So, but it doesn't mean you've raised a really good point of there are other contributing factors that we could possibly be working on to create an environment where people feel more open to share information about their personal identity.
Yeah, that's it from me.
Those were
Yes, great
good.
questions. Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions about the actual tool itself. So am I understanding correctly that this was fully developed by CCC? It's not something that you took and adapted and changed and tweaked? Okay. Is the pulse survey the same thing, or is that a packaged survey tool that you use that where it comes in?
It is, I will say it's the same thing. It's a subset of the
Okay.
original questions.
Okay. So just as sort of as like a personal reflection, I was actually kind of impressed with some of the scores because I was thinking like, wow, these seemed really high when I think about institutions comparing themselves to other institutions. So my question is, has there been any conversation or thought? I mean, you can't with this because it's not something that's used by other institutions because you created it, but are there other tools that sort of say how do we compare to peer institutions, or is there another survey that we do on a regular basis that happens?
There is not another employee survey that we do that is any way standardized, other than something we have to do for the state, which is not part of, it's not a climate question. Um, we did look at like the Gallup Q12 survey to see if we wanted to take any from there. We ultimately just decided to do it all from scratch. One thing I did do, because we were noticing some higher levels of dissatisfaction amongst department chairs, for example. So I did go into the literature and see, is that common? Like, we don't have the same questions,
Yeah.
but is it more common for department chairs or just faculty to have more distrust of administrators? So for example, we have the questions about people's supervisor and their supervisor's supervisor. And when that same person is rated by faculty versus other employee groups, the other employee groups rate that same person higher. So I did do just a review of some of the literature to see if that was a common finding, and it was, but we don't have any like specific survey questions that we can benchmark against another institution.
Yeah. As a reflection, I think that would be cool if this gets presented at academic conference and maybe other institutions like want to like use this tool, and then maybe you create this peer group where you can kind of compare. Because I was really impressed sort of the thoughtfulness about the development and what went into it, and then having access to that report was helpful. So thank you for that.
Didn't you see workload?
Yeah, well, sorry.
I did actually present this at the Pacific Northwest Association of Institutional Research Conference a couple of months ago, and there wasn't a lot of people there. They liked our business intelligence presentation a lot, but the people who were there were really interested in our process. It was mostly about the process that we went through that we presented on, and learned some things from them, and they learned quite a bit from us.
So I'm just going to give a shout out to my colleagues, Casey Layton and Ashley Sears. Without Ashley's expertise in institutional research and data analytics, we couldn't have done this. And I really applaud the length of time. It did take us extra time. President Cook may have asked us a couple of times, when are we going to get that climate survey? When are we going to get that climate survey? But I really respected that the approach that we took was to start with when the focus group was like, what's your ideal environment? What climate do you want to work in? What do you want our students to experience? What do you want to experience as employees? And then that's how we built the questions, with this vision that the focus groups has given. And so I just want to applaud my colleagues for the work that they've done. I talked to a lot of the other colleges. Some of them use Q12, but there isn't a consistent tool. And I appreciate with the Q12, at least you get, here are the global results, here are the national results, here are the results by sector. But always happy to shout out my colleagues and let them know that we have have an amazing tool. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow with the HR directors. Yeah. 100%.
Right.
Exactly. And that's, I know we talked about the pulse survey. Do you want to talk about the next full survey, the timing for that?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, we do. The plan is to consistently use
Yeah.
this instrument to compare over time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
is our job satisfaction still so high? Does everybody love HR now? I mean, what are those changes? Are people more comfortable reporting about their identity? As we continue to work on our climate and our culture, hopefully we will see that positive impact over time.
Right. Yeah. We'll go back and forth between using that shorter pulse and then the larger one, the new core one that's a subset of the 200 question one. We'll go back and forth. The exact cadence is TBD because we need to give enough time to, well, one, for me to analyze it, but then to share the results and then figure out what we're going to do about them, start implementing something and then measure. So the exact cadence is still TBD, but it will be regularly back and forth, a pulse in the core survey.
Well, I want to say I'm so impressed with this tool and the process that you use, because I remember when we first heard about it at a board retreat, and to see it be presented in such a thoughtful and well-written report, as well as the questions that you asked. You didn't shy away. There's some real questions that bring forward data that is something that could be looked at and addressed. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say that you are already working a lot of hours, but we do need to follow up. And I think that you guys did a super job. We really do appreciate that. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turned it off to the experts. He's talking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, what time is it? If there are no other questions or discussions, I'm going to adjourn our work session. It's 6:46 now. Does anyone need a quick break? Get some more cake. No, we cannot have any more cake, okay? So we will begin our next session. The work session is adjourned. Katie, I'm sorry. I want to call to order and welcome you to the Clackamas Community College Board of Education regular meeting. It is Wednesday, 21st of January, 2026. It's around 6:46 p.m. And I'll call this meeting to order. Oshie. Katie, could you please call the roll?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as I grab my roll sheet. Okay, position number 7, representing Canby and Malala, Irene Konev.
Here.
Position number 6, representing Estacada and Colton, Jane Reed.
Here.
Position number 5, representing West Lynn and Wilsonville, Ryan Ingersoll.
Here.
Position number 3, representing Gladstone and Johnson City, Wade Hathorn.
Here.
Position number 2, representing Clackamas and Happy Valley, Rob Wheeler.
Here.
Position number 1, representing Milwaukee, Elena Krolenbrock. Yeah, okay. And then position number 4, representing Oregon City, Chair Josephine Jo Crenshaw.
I'm here. Everyone here? Right, we're going to ask Elena to read our land acknowledgement, and Irene will read our labor acknowledgement.
Okay, I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the Clackamas Community College campuses reside on the traditional homelands of the Clackamas, Cascades, and Tumwater bands of Chinooks, as well as the Tualatin and Pudding River bands of Kalapuya and the Northern Malala people. They lived and prospered by maintaining strong cultural ties to the land and through wise management of resources. As signers of the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855, they were removed from their homelands to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation, where they became members of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. Please join us in taking this opportunity to thank and honor the original caretakers of this land, their lives and their descendants that live on as tribal members today, still carrying on the traditions and cultures of their ancestors.
And I'll read the Clackamas Community College Board labor acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the foundation and wealth of the United States was built upon the forced labor of enslaved African people, involuntary and trafficked indigenous labor, and the often exploited labor of immigrant domestic and farm workers. Their vital contributions and resilience in spite of violence, terror tactics, and bloodshed are an integral understanding of our nation's past, present, and hope of what's to come. The prosperity many enjoy today is rooted in centuries of labor extracted under conditions of injustice, inequality, and ongoing systemic oppression. Acknowledging this truth is a step towards honoring those who were denied justice and towards creating a future that is more equitable, inclusive, and humane.
Thank you. The Clackamas Community College Board of Education welcome community members to attend board meetings to become acquainted with the programs and operations of the college district. Members of the public are encouraged to share their comments with the board during the agenda item labeled Public Comments. Comments from the audience at any other time during the meeting except for the agenda item marked Public Comments will be declared out of order. If you have comments, please keep those comments to 3 minutes or less. We have no public comments. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. We are looking for approval of minutes from the executive work and regular sessions of 12/17/25. Acceptance of our monthly financial reports, our personnel report, and our bond update. Does anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda or for discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Are there any abstentions? For the record, the motion passes. New business action. Under the new business actions, we have our budget principles back for final read and adoption. Dean Christie Owen presented the budget principles to the board during the December 17th meeting. And there were a few recommended changes. Those recommendations have been incorporated into this version of the budget principles. But Dean Owen is here again tonight to answer any questions from the board. Are there any questions?
I
Anything?
wasn't here in December, so Jeff had to cover for me. So if you did have any questions, I am here.
Okay. There are no questions? Do you have any proposed changes, Jeff?
No, I do not.
Okay. We have to ask, I'm asking you for a motion to approve the budget. To adopt the budget principles to be used when creating 2026 and 2027 budget. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
I move to adopt the budget principles for FY 26-27 with this adjusted edits.
Yes, second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any abstentions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions again? The motion passes, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
I don't know, I have after this one.
No, you see it.
I just want to kind of comment that these are really good guidance. This is good guidance for us when we're looking at decisions there. It's excellent.
Terrific. Right, we are down now to the faculty presentation. Oh my God. Dean Arnetta. Armetta. The Billy Odegaard Scholarship and Nursing Students presentation.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am pleased to introduce to you this evening Virginia Chambers. She is, oh, sure. Use this one? Okay. Okay, I will start all over. Good evening, everyone. I am pleased to introduce to you Virginia Chambers. She is the director of our health sciences programs. Virginia has been at the college. She's going on 5 years now, and the work that she has done in health sciences has been transformative. Vern has a background as a medical assistant and a full-time faculty member, and she brings all of those experiences here to CCC to do the great work in social justice leadership. And because of her framework that guides her work as the director here, she has developed programs and expanded our programs in such a way where she has focused on serving those students who are most marginalized, which really paves the way to serve all of our students in the best way possible. So I'd like to introduce to you Vern Chambers. Vern, come on up. She's going to talk about the wonderful partnership that she has developed that really supports her students towards success.
Thank you. She always makes me sound so good. So I am actually here to not talk very much. I actually have a couple of students that are currently in the Odegaard Scholarship program that are actually going to speak tonight and answer questions and talk about their experience. But in early 2022, we actually started a partnership with Billy Odegaard and the foundation, their scholarship foundation. It's an external entity. Billy Odegaard was a public health nurse in Multnomah County for a number of years, and she's since passed. This is a long time ago, and started an endowment and worked with Care Oregon. She was one of the kind of co-founders of Care Oregon in the state, which serves a huge population in Oregon. And anyway, so external partnership when it comes to the Odegaard Scholarship is for nursing students and to try to help diversify our nursing population that are currently practicing in the field. And so it's an external entity that we kind of support with students that get into the program, get into nursing. We actually have the Odegaard Scholarship folks come out and recruit our students. So to see if there's students that are interested and meet their eligibility criteria, and then they fund them. They fund the entire 2 years. They have wraparound services, and part of the report that is provided, that I provided to you guys, talks about some of the services that they do provide, because they have housing, they have wraparound, they've got counseling, they've got tutoring. But we understand and identify that if a student is trying to have competing priorities with families and working and trying to go to nursing school, it's really challenging. And then on top of that, if students are struggling in a variety of ways when it comes to the tutoring and stuff. So I'm not speaking very clearly tonight. It's been a really long night, so sorry. But the Odegaard Scholarship is given over $326,000 so far, covering 369 students. So we had 2 students that graduated in 2025 in fall. All 3 of them went through, got their NCLEX, passed and are working as nurses right now. And then we have 6 students that are still in the program. 2 of them are going to be or 3 of them are going to be graduating this year, and then the other 3 are first-year students. So we've gone through 3 cohorts, and that's 9 students that the Odegaard Scholarship has been funding for that. And so I think we have LaShondra here on Zoom. I don't know if Callie was going to be able to make it because she's working and was going to try to get here by 8. Or excuse me, Ellie, but we've got Candace and LaShondra hopefully here to kind of talk about their experiences. That way I don't have to talk anymore. Oh, great. Excellent. Fantastic.
While you're pulling those up, my understanding is Clackamas Community College is the only
yeah.
recipient of the Billy Odegaard scholarships, right? Where
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that.
their sole.
Yeah, so the Odegaard Scholarship Foundation, or their board, was very pleased with not only the faculty, the kind of support in our academic, but also just our program itself, and how it runs. And our warm welcoming, we do an orientation that is a living room orientation, but all the kind of support and what we do for the students, they've decided to stick with us. So the first year they did this scholarship, they were thinking about piloting it with Clackamas Community College and then going to PCC and then going to a few other institutions. Since then, they've decided to dedicate just to us. And so we are the only institution that they're providing this type of service to. And they're actually trying to extend their opportunities in the sense that the students that go through our program here, that they complete the ADN, so they get the RN, they can actually, they're trying to help pay and articulate them through OHSU's BSN program. So when they finish here, they can continue on to their BSN. So they're working out some of those financials, and they're actually funding one student already that's in their BSN, of Daniel, who's a graduate at OHSU. So they're doing all kinds of things to help support the students. But yes, we are the only institution that they're partnering with. They tend to, they like us, is what they were saying. So I don't know if you guys have your cameras, or if you can turn them on to say hello and introduce yourselves. Hi, there you are. Yay.
Hello.
Hi, Sonda, you can say first.
Oh, I can say first. Okay. Hi, my name is LaShonda Bradley, and I am a second year nursing student at Clackamas Community College. I'm really grateful for this program and the Billy Odegaard Scholarship. Getting into nursing school is really challenging. You get hundreds of applicants and there's only a number of spots. And being a Black woman trying to go to school, there's not very many people who look like me going to nursing school. So I was really grateful to have the opportunity to go to get into nursing school. And the reason why I chose Clackamas per se is because I applied at a couple different community colleges. I went to the orientation and I look around and there is multiple, it's very, very diverse. And I thought, and I go to these other schools and I'm not seeing that. And that was really important to me. So getting into school and then look over to I'm like applying for schools and not really knowing if I'm going to get in or not. And I get in and then I'm like, oh, now that I'm in, how am I going to pay for this? And so once I look over and I see the Billy Odegaard scholarship table, and I was like, I'm going to go see what this is about. And they were so welcoming. They kind of told me about it. And I went home and told my husband, and I said, I hope I have this opportunity because I didn't think that far ahead. It was trying to get into nursing school was hard enough. And then now trying to figure out how to pay for it was another hurdle. Um, so yeah, once I got that scholarship, I was really, really grateful. It allowed me to go part-time, and I just get to focus on my studies. I'm doing really well in nursing school, and I'm really happy that this partnership happened because I don't think that, it would have if I didn't go to Clackamas.
Okay, thank you. Now my turn. My name is Ellie, and at first I'm really nervous, so I prepare a paper, but right now I decide to speak from my heart. So if I speak not so well, so please forgive me. So I am the first year for nursing school at Clackamas Community College. Receiving other guest scholarship have made it really different and meaningful to my life. As English is my second language, was so nervous at the first time I get the interview for nursing program, and it's really my hard work would pay off because I get accepted to for nursing school.
Mm.
And yeah, and one of that school is like Mount Hood Community College. It's only 5 minutes from my house, but I was Clackamas Community College student for 2 or 3 years already. So for me, Clackamas Community College is it's look like my home and where I feel support and respect. So even at 30 minutes away from my home, I still choose Clackamas Community College. I remember I would like to say thanks to Virginia. I met her when I first started ESOL as program at CCC. And Virginia gave me a chance to participate in dental camp. Yeah, I remember I met you at that time. And because you really make the people feel like so supportive, and I feel like the people in this community college, they are full of love and they are so calm, they are so supportive, make me feel like this is look like my second home. So wherever I go, I always choose Clackamas Community College. So that is my experience. And I really thank you and grateful that AutoGAT Scholarship Foundation and Clackamas Community College believing in me, and thank you for making a real difference in my education journey. Thank you for that.
Yes, I agree with that. So happy.
So I do want to say that I appreciate the fact that you guys are here. You did all the work to get here, right? So yes, we have hundreds of applicants, and yes, we go through a process. Last October, I believe, is when I presented to the board about our holistic admissions and application redesign work and how that has actually increased our diversity within our programs across the board when it comes to our programs. And it's been really critical in nursing as a highly competitive program to get into. And so we've been able to see the data and see the changes that we've made and the impact on those changes. And it looks like Candace is here. So Candace, we'd love to hear your story too. You want to introduce yourself and to the board and where you're at in nursing school and about the ODA.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Candace Pugh, and I'm a second year nursing student. I think we have about 5 more months left, so super excited about that. And yes, I'm one of the Billy Odegaard Scholarship recipients, and actually my story is quite unique to me, at least. Beth Doyle was actually my inspiration for applying to the nursing scholarship. And my mom raising 4 kids and had just found out I was, accepted to Clackamas Community College and had no idea how I was going to pay for nursing school. And it just happened that Beth was, the little angel on my shoulder that said, why don't you apply for the Billy Odegaard Scholarship? And at that time, I had no idea she was a board member. It wasn't something that was advertised. And she said, I think you'd have a great shot at it. So I did. And I'm just so thankful and appreciative of receiving the scholarship. It has been a tremendous blessing for not just myself, but my kiddos as well. So I'm glad to be here. That's all.
So Beth Doyle was our nurse administrator for the nursing program for a little over a year. She was critical to some of the changes that we were able to implement within the program, and it was a very large loss for the college, the community, and public health for nursing when she passed away. And so it's been, I love Candace bringing up Beth because that's very important. We try really hard from the mission, vision, and values of the college all the way down to everything that we do to make sure that we're implementing that. We're the work we do with the orientations to the application and admissions, the chocolate covered coffee beans that I have in front of my office that I stock all the chocolate, the espresso machine that the nursing students come down and get free coffee, like all the different things that help kind of create a positive and warm, welcoming experience when you're going through a really challenging educational journey. We need to have the the cheerleaders and also the comfort and the support. So I'm glad that you guys are here with us. So do you guys have any questions to the students or anything?
I don't have any. Oh, did you? Go ahead,
Oh,
Joe.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
have any questions. I just want to say to you three ladies, first of all, congratulations and hang in there, right? You're examples of why we do what we do and why the community college is so important to the community, right? But you're just perfect examples of taking an opportunity and turning a life into that opportunity. So it's really an honor to see all three of you, right? And if you recall, Ms. Pugh was one of the students who spoke at the the joint ESD CCC legislative group. And I spoke to her after that meeting and said, please keep me informed of your career forward. I want to make sure you succeed and find yourself in following up on your dreams. And Ellie, thank goodness you did not read your paper to us, right? You were so much more eloquent and your words were much more received, I think, from the heart that you give, right? And so all three of you ladies, thank you very much for coming here tonight, right? Quite an inspiration.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
It's great to hear from all of you. Thanks so much for sharing your stories.
Jane, did you have a comment?
No, mostly a lot what Wade said, but just you're inspiring. You're inspiring to us, and thank you for being here and telling your stories, and just keep up that amazing work. And what you are doing is so important and so needed. So go forth.
Anyone else? Well, I'd like to say thank you to all three of you. And for you ladies with the children, we have to find you some babysitters now. We really do appreciate all the things that you're doing. And yes, hang in there. It's going to get better. Thank you.
We appreciate you
Virgi-
all too.
Virginia, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes, we appreciate it. All right. Was that Alan? He's waving goodbye. All right, we thank all of you. So we're good.
Thank you for having us tonight.
Okay.
And thank you for believing in us.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. No other questions? All right. That's good. Good.
All right, thank you. Oops. Turn on. Thank you so much to three. You're excused. You probably have homework and some other things to do. So thank you so much. I know I'll see a couple of you at graduation this year and another one year beyond at the Pinnings. So I look forward to that. Keep up the good work. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Okay. So, oh, go ahead. And over
Next
to me.
we have the Clackamas Volunteer in Medicine presentation. I'm going to turn it over to President Cook.
All right, thank you. As this staff's making their way up, I'm going to introduce the executive director here in a second, but I just maybe for Alina's sake and maybe Ryan and others, it's the Clackamas Volunteers in Medicine, otherwise known as the Free Clinic, is a relatively new partnership for the college, and one I'm particularly proud of because it was an opportunity really to provide free healthcare for the community, which they're already doing, but an opportunity for our students to access that, and then also an opportunity for particularly our medical assisting students. I think they're going to talk about that tonight to get some experience in that clinic. And then third, it provides an opportunity for their existing patients to step on our campus, which they may not have done done before. It's so thus far been just a fantastic partnership, and I thought it was time to get an update on kind of from the free clinics perspective on how things are going. And so I'll introduce Lisa, the executive director, and you can introduce your staff here and go forth your presentation. So Lisa is the executive director, joined the team 1 year ago. She has 20 years in experience in nonprofit programming, connecting people to resources, bringing experiences in public health, healthcare operations, leadership, and communications. She holds a bachelor's of science degree in public health and education from Oregon State University, go Beavs, Master of Public Health from Eastern Washington University, and Organizational Development from Portland State University. Welcome, Lisa. Please.
Thank you, everyone. We're really excited to be here and really appreciate the partnership with the college. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Kala, who is our Assistant Medical Director and Nurse Practitioner, and one of our MA Medical Assistant students, Emily, who we're going to hear from tonight. Well, we do have a video to share. Some of you may be really familiar with us and some may be the first time. So we would love to show you kind of behind the scenes of the clinic so you can kind of see what happens behind the scenes. So we have just a couple 2-minute video to hear from our staff volunteers and you can see us in action. So I'll let the video speak for itself. Hopefully it's queued up. All right, there we go. Thank you.
A group of community members identified a need in Clackamas County for health services for folks who did not have health insurance. They got together and they were able to find the resources needed to start this clinic. And in 2012, the doors opened and we've been serving folks ever since.
Most of our population in Oregon is insured now, but that still leaves thousands without means to pay for their care. Our clinic really serves as a safety net for that population where we can provide essential primary care and other services that meet their needs. I truly believe that healthcare is a right, and our clinic is really only able to do that through your support.
Elegí la clínica de Clackamas, primera porque era gratuita. Y en ese momento no trabajaba y no tenía suficiente economía para pagar un médico. Y por eso elegí la clínica. Cuando entras a la clínica, te sientes bienvenida y dices, ok, estoy en el lugar correcto.
Clackamas Free Clinic provides a pretty wide range of services, but our kind of main services are primary care, by which I mean treating chronic disease and preventing chronic disease. We have vision clinic. We also have periodic dental cleaning services. We have some counseling services.
So there are a lot of people who benefit from the services that we provide here. Number one is our patients, and we also see a lot of students through our doors. So the other students that we see a lot of are the medical assisting students here at Clackamas Community College.
The clinic community has been instrumental in my journey to medicine. When I first arrived, the providers were keen to teach and to explain their medical decision-making, which is really beneficial as a student. Working at the free clinic, we work with a population that struggles with a lot of factors outside of just their health that can impact them, such as transportation or ability to pay for medications. Working in that environment gives you a lot of insight into the population that you serve that I think is unique in comparison to working at a bigger hospital system.
Mejoraron muchísimo, tanto por la atención como por el apoyo de todos en general.
Estoy de verdad muy agradecida porque no en todos lados tienes esa atención. Y vas y pagas y no te atienden bien. Y en cambio aquí, siempre me he sentido bienvenida. No sabría cómo sería mi vida, porque tendría yo que haber, no sé, qué pasado para poder saber que fuera mi vida.
The Clackamas Free Clinic is vital because without health, it's difficult to complete any of the other goals in life. It's hard to keep a job and take care of your family and have positive relationships. Without good health, it's hard to enjoy life.
We keep people out of the ER. Healthcare spending will increase if we cease to exist. So the health of the community would definitely decline. And we'd notice more use of emergency services or just lack of services at all.
If somebody is thinking about volunteering at the clinic, I'd say call up, apply online, definitely talk to us because we just need a wide range of folks. And you don't have to be a medical provider to volunteer at the clinic. There's a lot of need.
All right.
A group of community members.
Thank you. And we have a couple slides, Katie. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, hopefully that gives you just a couple of faces and behind the scenes of our clinic. But I did want to just touch on, as we bring up some of our slides, and hopefully my clicker works. Great. Perfect. So just to ground us in our roots, and so yes, we did open up as an organization back in 2012. We used to be called the Founders Clinic, and I want to acknowledge that Providence Willamette Falls was basically one of the reasons why we opened up our doors, and a bunch of caring community members got together, saw a need in the community, and founded us, and we became the Founders Clinic. And then we evolved and we became Clackamas Free Clinic, and we opened up our doors up on campus 2.5 years ago in 2023. So just wanted to kind of ground us in where we've been and how we've evolved. I'm going to hand it over to Kala, who's going to talk just a little briefly about kind of the program services and what it looks like today.
Hi, everyone. As Lisa said, my name's Calla Mahalik. I'm a family nurse practitioner by training, but I've served as the assistant medical director at Clackamas Free Clinic. I've been here for about 2.5 years now. As we touched on in the video, we provide at the clinic most of the services that you or I would go to our regular doctor's office for. We will see people for acute visits, so if they have a cold, if they have the flu, as well as manage long-term illnesses like diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. We also provide some more patient navigation services. So anytime a patient needs to go out into the community and receive additional services, we have staff on board who will help them access those services, who will call and help make appointments, who will serve as interpreters, and who will call patients to make sure that they are getting the follow-up that they need. The patient population that we serve is largely adults, so 18 and up, residing in and around Clackamas County. The vast majority of our patients have no health insurance at all, and those who do have typically just gotten it, have just learned that they're eligible for it, or have health needs that their insurance doesn't cover, or that they don't meet the criteria to have covered. As you can see, the majority of our patients do come from Clackamas County, but in 2025, we served patients from 75 zip codes. So it is the vast majority of Clackamas County, but there is no free clinic in Multnomah County. And our cohort in Washington County serves many of the Multnomah County patients as well. Our top diagnoses are, like I mentioned, high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. And our patients tend to come to us a little bit more complex, a little bit sicker than you or I might be that by the first time that we go to the doctor. By the time a patient walks through our doors, it may have been 5-10 years since they've seen a medical provider, and we're able to take time with them, spend a little bit more time than they would have in a traditional medical clinic, and really try to work with them to figure out how they're going to meet their health goals within the resources that they have available to them. This is just a few examples of some of the things that have kept some of our patients from seeing regular care. Many of them struggle with transportation issues. We're able to partner with TriMet to provide bus tickets for patients, but we can always use more access to transportation services. And in general, across the country and in particular in Oregon, there is just a general lack of primary care providers, let alone patient or primary care providers who are willing to see patients at no charge or on a sliding scale. Many patients, when we are getting them insured, are facing wait times over 3 months to get into a clinic where they can use that coverage. And so we're able to help them bridge that gap. We help people navigate the health system beyond our doors, and we try to provide education and access to screening services to help people from getting sicker. We also acknowledge as a community right now that going out and seeking care in certain places may feel scary to patients. We try to keep a fear-free environment to keep people as comfortable as we can within our doors. And we've built a sense of trust with our patient population who don't fear coming to our clinic. This is just a quote that we've taken from one of our patients who's been with us for quite a while. You can see here, before I wasn't paying any attention to my health, but I've learned a lot at the clinic. I quit smoking, drink more water, and take things more seriously. We could all handle a little bit more water. Even though I've had insurance off and on over the years, I know I'm always welcome to come back if I need.
Thank you, Kala. So just briefly, I just want to talk about our vision forward. We do have a committed board of directors. As we're navigating a lot of the changes, our vision forward, we want to continue to increase our access to care and continue to strengthen our partnerships, not only with the college, but the surrounding community, continue to create workforce development opportunities and our volunteers. That is really, there are 6 staff and 140 volunteers. So that makes our organization go to be able to do what we do. Here's just an example, some of our partnerships, not only with the college, but with Clackamas County Public Health, KCI Health, our Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, Kaiser, again, Providence, Willamette Falls. Partnerships are just critical to our success and be able to provide the care that we do. Here's one fun example that kind of was created on campus. So this is me and Jessica, who's executive director of the Oregon City Farmers Market located here on campus. And her and I got together, we received a grant and we created a food as medicine program. So the farmers market helped, it was for diabetic patients to get 12 weeks of fresh fruits and vegetables. And the market helped provide the vegetables and then design the recipes. And we also work with Home Orchard, which is also on campus, and they provided all the fresh fruits. So it was a wonderful win-win. We've actually been renewed for the grant and going to roll that out in the spring and double the amount of people we're serving. So just kind of a fun example of how community is coming together on campus as well. But now we're going to switch over to talk about what we do with the college.
We now get to talk about my favorite part of my job, which is working with the students here at CCC. In the last 3 years, we've had 45 medical assisting students come through our doors who have done just under 1,000 hours with us at the clinic. We get the medical assisting students about 3 weeks into their program, and we see them until they are getting ready to head off to their externships in the spring. We see them when they're a little bit nervous to take a blood pressure on our staff, and then we see them all the way through until they're confidently drawing blood and giving vaccines to our patients. It's honestly the most rewarding part, is getting to see that growth in the students over the course of about 9 months. We also work with the phlebotomy students from health sciences. They will come in and they will provide lab services to our patients in the mornings. And we are hoping to partner a little bit more intentionally with our nursing program as well moving forward. We've been discussing options, including a health fair and providing some vaccinations here on campus during flu season. But for now, I want to turn it over to Emily, who's one of the current MA students with us, to talk a little bit about the experience she's had with us at the clinic.
Thanks, Cal. Hi, so I'm Emily Amon, and I'm a medical assisting student, and I'm right here at CCC. I'd say one of the highlights of this program is the relationship with the free clinic. I'm going into medical assisting because I just want to make the world a better place. Everybody needs access to quality healthcare. Everybody deserves a space where they feel safe and supported, and a place where barriers are removed and where they can get the help they need, right? Like this is my vision, but this is your vision. And I don't think there's anyone in this room who doesn't share that kind of as a core value. So the the MA program is intense. Like it is a lot of work. We have a lot of skills, a lot of procedures, just understanding working in a medical field. There's so much information, a very short time to do it. And I was thinking how in this kind of pressure cooker of, you know, getting everything done, making the grades, like the why of why we're doing it can get, you know, it's there, but it's kind of on the back burner. And so having this opportunity, like as a total rookie, to go back out and actually work with providers in a clinic, it just it changes everything, and it reminds you of why you're working so hard, and you know, and what you want to do, because again, it's about helping, right? We're here to help. So my first shift, oh my God, I was that nervous kid who didn't know how to take a blood pressure. I'd been working on it, but I was 4 weeks into my program. And I was so nervous. Like I'm a grown-up lady, but I was still so nervous. You know, it's a new situation, a new career. I want to do well. I want to help. And I was afraid I was going to stumble over my words, forget something important. And I totally did. Like all those things. I just, you know, it goes blank sometimes on you. You know, but by the end of the shift, it was different. You know, like that moment was now in the past. And you don't get chances like that where you can actually immerse, but you know, because your clinic's able to take time with the patients, that means for newbies like me, they're, you know, we have a little more time to process and actually appreciate what's going on. So, you know, we learn by observing, we learn by doing, watching seasoned professionals who are so skilled, watching them interact with patients, watching them interact with each other, seeing what happens in the conversations behind the door that you'll never hear just as a patient, but where things are starting to coordinate and, you know, how can we meet these needs? It gave me this big picture view of what makes a clinic successful. So getting to practice my skills, getting to connect with patients, getting helpful input and a little calming pat on the back. You know, this is all critical to developing new healthcare workers like me. So I guess I just want to really let you know the free clinic is a community asset, like in the biggest sense of the word, right? It serves its patients, it serves its host school, it serves students like me by giving meaningful experience, and then students like me are going to go back out and serve the community again. So thank you for listening to my story, and thanks for having me and inviting me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that concludes our presentation. Any questions you all have for us?
I have a question, maybe of President Cook or you. Remind us all how the college contributes to your organization.
You want to go, Tim?
I can start. So we provide we provide the space, but we didn't. The clinic actually raised all the money to remodel and convert the space into a medical clinic. It was just offices before that, and so we provide we lease it at a very nominal fee. We try to keep it really affordable in that way. And so beyond that, you know, we're providing the usual sort of access that we would have for like the internet and some other things too. But we're mostly just housing them.
I would say it's beyond that. Yes, if we were to go out and get a commercial space or try to find a space, yeah, we would pay much, much higher. But I mean, the school, I mean, since I started, it's been amazing, the wraparound services. Many of you in this room, we feel very integrated into the school, from security to marketing to the students to just the expertise around. We're included in legislative days, we're included in just events. So it's so integrated. It's kind of hard to even put a value on that. The partnership is just critical for us, and it's just really made our organization grow so much in the last 2 years. So, yeah.
And tell me about, have we met or exceeded expectations when you first got here?
Yeah, I'm about a year into it. Maybe Cal can answer. I think one thing that we didn't highlight in our presentation is serving the student populations. So we've served roughly 60 students since we've started in 2 years. So we expected, I think the people who kind of created this thought we'd be seeing a lot more students for utilizing our services. That just hasn't been the case. We are expecting utilization is going to go up potentially as policy changes to the Oregon Health Plan potentially impact folks. So that's been kind of one surprise. I think, again, the integration with the students, that has over exceeded our expectations, just how valuable that has been. And our volunteer providers, many of them are retired, and how much joy they get in working with the students, that has been just, a huge exceeding expectation. Callie, do you want to add anything?
I think Lisa hit most of that on the head. I have not been with the clinic since really before we moved onto campus. My first day of work was about 3 weeks before we moved in. From everything that I hear from all of our volunteers, this is the best space that we've ever worked in. Getting to be on the college campus has helped us recruit new volunteers. Working with the students is a big draw for new volunteers. I mean, this has been a great place for us to be.
One more, you mentioned serving students. How about community overall?
Yeah, I mean, one thing, free parking. We have an amazing parking for our patients. I mean, it is right off, a main thoroughway, so it is accessible in a lot of ways. I mean, transportation is a barrier, but it's also pretty central. We're not confined just to Clackamas County residents. We do serve, again, as Kala mentions, we serve 75 zip codes. So people really are coming from all over to access care. So yeah, we do, we're kind of situated between this urban and rural setting. We know that rural settings, there is a lack of access. So people really do come from all over. So I think we are as central as one could be out here. But it's nice that we know that there's a big, nice parking lot for folks to come in. It's easy to get in and out of. That's a real asset for our patients accessing us.
I remember when I first heard about this organization, well, I guess 2012 is when it first started. I kept thinking, this is amazing. I mean, and you all are such good examples of what people can do with heart and with determination and with brains. And I mean, you're really serving so many people in such a creative way. And I'm glad you're on our campus too, really glad, because it's very unusual, and good job.
Thank you. And as we know, we're one of the only free clinics at a community college campus. So it would be great to go and present. And I have been contacted by 2 community colleges, Tim, I owe you an email on soon, that want to come and tour and see how we've done this. So word is getting out. I think it is an example. I think it could be a national model for a win-win partnership and relationship for other programs across the country.
My question is, what is another county that's close by that has something like this? I know that Multnomah doesn't, but is there another county?
So Washington County does have a free clinic in the Tualatin area.
The Borland.
Borland Free Clinic. Yes. So Borland has a clinic. There's a clinic in Salem, and then the other closest one would be in Clark County, so Southwest Washington.
Thank you. I just wanted to, well, thank you all for the work you're doing and the continued innovation and the ways that, I mean, from the last time when we were opening the clinic and connecting, it sounds like the program has grown tremendously. And I also want to thank President Cook for the way he's been able to reach out to the community to, build these partnerships and bring in these innovative ways of doing something good for the college, something good for the community, and something good for all of us overall. So thank you.
I also want to say thank you for the work that you guys are doing. It's desperately, desperately needed in our broken healthcare system. How much demand are you getting? Are you able to meet the demand that you're getting for free care?
As of right now, yes. We're prepared to expand our capacity pretty substantially this year, and looking into next even more. Oregon invested pretty heavily in expanding Medicaid a few years ago. So we had a very high insured rate. What that means is with some upcoming legislative changes, we're here in Oregon going to see one of the biggest swings in terms of going from patients having insurance to being uninsured. So we are preparing to meet that need where we can.
I just want to throw in a shameless fundraising plug for you, right? By the way, so please give to this organization, right?
Thank
Right?
you.
Always give to the free clinic, right? There's two things in life you can make a difference in people's lives, right? Buy food for people and buy healthcare for them, right? That's what will change their lives, right? So here's a plug for your 5K every year, right? Go sign up for the
Yes.
fun run, right? Which we ever do, right? There you go. Just want to throw that in.
I just want to say thank you, especially Emily. What,
Yeah.
what year do you graduate?
Well, gosh, June. It's fast.
Well, I think that you're doing great. I mean, you weren't nervous. You said you were, but you weren't when you were presenting. So
Oh.
I can't believe that blood test that you were trying to give, that you were nervous. But I want to say congratulations to all of you. What a really good deed that you are doing, and especially for Clackamas community. I remember when the clinic was down the hill and nobody knew about it except for the people down the hill. And so I really appreciate all the things that you guys are doing. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Cook.
Thanks.
And it's back to you.
Okay. Same. I want to thank you from the very beginning. The partnership's just been outstanding and far exceeded the expectations I thought. I'm just so proud. I love talking to people about what you do. And I kind of in response to, you alluded to this, but Lisa and I meet and we talk about sort of how we can continue this work and expand and meet some of the need that Calla was talking about as well. And so, I think there are opportunities as that growth happens that, that we can do more with the college. And, we got asked the question, I don't get the question anymore, but initially we got asked the question, why didn't we do this at our Milwaukee campus where we focus on healthcare? And it was really about access. It was really about transportation and being located here. But it may make some sense for us to do some work there as well as we grow too. But that's work that we continue to do. But I'm just grateful for the partnership. I'm grateful to have you here. I think it makes all of us better. Our missions are so similar. So thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. Next up, we are at the association reports. We're going to ask each one of you, as you report, that keep your comments under 3 minutes. It's not past your bedtime. Is Brianna here? Samuel? Okay, Samuel. Sorry.
Hello, I'm Samuel. I'm the Vice President of ASG, and I'm filling in for Brianna Davis today. Okay, is this the, okay, thank you. Okay. So I also over prepared here, but okay, I just wanted to give kind of like a little overview of sort of some of the things that we do. So we have several events that we kind of host reoccurring. So, for example, we do like the Clubs and Resources Fair to connect our students to the various clubs and resources on campus. We do one of those each term, and we had one last week with about 100 students in attendance. So that was pretty great, I think. Okay, let's see. But we do all sorts of things too. So a quick overview of our departments. We have the executive team. So myself and Brianna, the president, and our secretary as well, Caitlin. Okay. And for other departments, we have campus affairs. They do things like trivia to bring students together and kind of promote the other projects that we have going on. We have our multicultural center representatives as well that help with the programming there. And again, our clubs department, as I mentioned before. Then we also have community wellness and promotions. Community wellness does things like blood drives, roadside pickup, and other volunteerism. And promotions, pretty self-explanatory, but okay. Additionally, as a full team, we join or form subcommittees to work on various projects throughout the term as a group. So I'll get to one of those in just a moment here as well. We attend and promote other events on campus and try to help each other, as well as serve on the college level committees. Another thing I think not everyone knows about is our reoccurring allocations. So every year we contribute to the lending library. We help fund the Oregon City Food Pantry. We provide after hours snacks when our food pantry is closed. We also provide free school supplies. And those are kind of some of the things that we're doing. So far this term, we hosted some welcome week events, paint and craft, a surprise mug giveaway. We had our student life and leadership training on the 9th. Like I mentioned, the Clubs and Resources Fair. And it says karaoke, but that should be trivia, 2 trivias this term. Upcoming, we have Clubs Connection. That's an event that our clubs department puts on to connect clubs with us and show them how to become official and to reserve space for events and things. We also have a bigger event, the endowment kickoff. So as of the end of last term, we formed a food pantry endowment. And this is a kickoff event that we're going to have to hopefully bring in some more funding for that, as well as kind of spread the word about what it is and what we're doing. We're all very excited about that. With it, we're making a video, an evergreen video that we can have on the CCC website to promote our food pantry. Additionally, we're working on a panel event to explore identity and cultural heritage. We also recently formed the Student Safety Subcommittee, and this is in a direct response to students' concerns over their safety regarding ICE activity. We are assisting in promoting an event from the WRC for stalking awareness, and it will be in our office. And lots of multicultural center programming, more than I have time to explain. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That is everything.
Any questions or comments?
No, very thorough. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brianna. I'm sorry. Just keep going. All right, Christopher isn't here, right? Jennifer isn't here. All right, Charles.
Okay, so since they're not here, do I get 9 minutes now? No, actually, I got a very short report for you guys tonight. It could be because that we had our schedule back up to the holidays, so a lot of people didn't get back to me in time. So hopefully next time I'll have a much larger report for you. But I do have some very good news. And Tim was able to witness this in real time. He managed to come over to the shop, and we had just gotten the people who installed 2 new fourth axis cards on 2 of our machines, and I was just pulling the fourth axis units that we have, 2 of them that we had sitting on the shelf for almost 2 years, and I was getting ready to put them into the machine and get them ready to go. So the whole point here is just increasing capacity and letting our students have more time on the machines. And to briefly let you guys know what that means is right now, at the lower levels, the beginning levels, we have 8 machines that the students can use, and we have about 16 to 19 people in a class, which puts about 2, maybe a little bit more people per machine at the lower level. But as that progresses, that number of machines drops dramatically. Because the level that we teach at, we need 4 and 5 axis, and primarily 4 axis. And pretty soon, I'm hoping very soon, we'll have all 8 machines up to scratch so that we can have the same level of projects going through per student that we do at the lower level. So for me, it's very, very exciting, and I'm actually very, very happy about that. So it also gives us a chance to take baby steps as we go along, and we're using our own technology to build our own work holding. I've actually designed and am currently building vices for our machines, as well as specialty supports for those that go on the 4 and 5 axis machines, so that we can have everything all together. And we're on track to save probably well north of $50,000 by building these things ourselves, because we have the technology. We already have the material. All we need is the manpower, right? I bring a lot of that to the table. And so anyway, that's really kind of the long and the short of it. Is there any questions? So please, if you have time, come over and tour the facility. You can usually find me over there. I'd be happy to show you around, show you what we're doing, because it's really very amazing. Also, to put this into further perspective, I happen to know that down at Chemeketa, I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but they only have 4 milling machines and 2 lathes. We have 11 milling machines and 6 lathes, all CNC, to give you an idea of where we are in relationship with one of our closest neighbors. So our program is really quite amazing. We have the student I've had come the farthest is from Texas, just to go through our program, just to give you an idea of how things rate as far as our program goes. So we're very excited about that.
I have a question. What, did you say something with, it's like sitting on the shelf for 2 years?
So when we first bought the 8 Haas machines, we had fourth axis set up on 4 of them, and then nothing on the other 4. And about 2 years ago, we got what are called TRT 100s. They're 5-axis add-ons. So we had to take those 2 off and then put the TRTs on, because they had to go on to one of the VF2SSs, which is a style of machine. We have, I don't want to get too far off and get too technical, but we have 4 VF2SSs, which are super speeds, and then we have 4 VF1s, which are slightly smaller. The TRTs cannot go on the smaller machine. They have to go on the bigger machine, which means we had to pull those 2 off, put them on the shelf, put the 5-axis in the machines. So now we went from 1 5-axis to 3. Hopefully we'll go from that 3 to 5. And then we'll have the other 4. And then we'll have a configuration on 8, actually 10 machines that will all be the same. And that way we'll have that many machines available for our students that can run. So the fewer people you have standing at the machine, the more projects they can get done, the more they learn.
What was the primary reason for the 2-year wait?
Money. We had to wait until we had enough money from either Perkins or some other place to get the 2 cards that we needed on 2 of the machines to install those 2 both axes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have 9 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. President Cook?
Yeah, sorry, I was just texting my colleague at Schmecketa saying we have a better manufacturing program than they do, so just give me a minute to finish that and we'll go. Not that I'm competitive at all. Thank you, that Charlie. So I've got a few items on here tonight, and that we'll get through here. So the first is we actually are down in enrollment for the first time in about a year. We're down about 2.3% right now. It's this is the 2 weeks in. Things will change, but we are anticipating that we may be down for the quarter. So we'll see how that goes. Checking in with our colleagues, our sister colleges, and the rest, that seems to be consistent, right around 2%, 2-3%. Still looking at why. There's some speculation. We know that there are some enrollments in our English speakers of other language that have dropped for some reasons around ICE and some federal things. We also are looking at our dual enrollment and some other things, but as we know more, we'll let you know, because that's certainly not where we'd like to be. Speaking of federal issues, we've held now a couple Q&A drop-in sessions where a number of us have attended. We had one that was virtual, and then today there was one in person at Harmony, and we'll have another one at Wilsonville for staff and faculty to come and ask questions and for folks to respond about, again, what to do should ICE come onto campus, how to manage some of the fears and the concerns. The attendance has been pretty good at those, and so we'll continue to offer opportunities to update folks there. And we had a very well-attended all-staff budget meeting last Friday. We did a hybrid meeting in this room and then online. There's probably, I would guess, around 50-ish people here on a Friday afternoon for a budget meeting, so you know folks are interested. And then probably another 120, I think, online. And we went through, and you've seen a lot of this, and you'll see more of it as we present the budget to you all about what we're approaching and how we're going to go about some of these budget reductions and these scenarios that we're looking at. So lots of opportunity to do that. But it was a really good opportunity for folks to ask questions and really understand sort of what we're up against. This next Friday, a week from Friday, I hope you know, and I hope you'll be able to attend the State of the College. It'll be again in this room from 9 to 10:30 in the morning. There'll be outside, there'll be some opportunities to see some student work in the lobby. We'll have some student musicians here, so if you arrive at 8:30, but we'll kick off the event about 9. It should be fun. It's our 60th birthday, and so we've been gathering pictures and stories from back in the late 60s, early 70s about what things look like then, and doing some comparisons to now. So it should be a pretty interesting State of the College as we go along there. And then January is Board Appreciation Month. So I'm excited, and you'll join me. We've got a proclamation for you all to appreciate the board. I say this every year, and I think it's important. I remind the public every year, because I continue to hear folks think that somehow you all get paid for this work, and we know that you don't. This is a volunteer gig. And the check's in the mail. The check is still in the mail. You'll get that soon, I'm sure. So it's there's a volunteer position, and again, appreciative that you all take the time to run for office and spend all the time supporting the college. And so we want to show our appreciation for you. You have cards. We have some swag coming for you. It just didn't arrive on time. So the next time we see you, the next meeting, we'll have some CCC swag for you as well. But I want to take some time to read this proclamation. Whereas community college boards create a vision for what students should know and be able to do, and whereas community college boards make decisions that affect countless young people in their future, and whereas community college boards contribute to the economic well-being of their communities and our state, and whereas community college boards selflessly volunteer their time to ensure student success, and whereas community college boards create a climate that supports the philosophy that all students can learn at high levels, And whereas community college boards build collaborative relationships based on trust, teamwork, and shared accountability. And whereas community college boards are committed to preparing students for further education in their careers. Now, therefore, I hereby declare on behalf of the students and staff of Clackamas Community College our appreciation to the members of the Clackamas Community College Board of Directors, proclaim the month of January to be Board of Education Recognition Month. I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local community college board members and preparing today's students for tomorrow's world. Thank you, and please join me in celebrating. Thank you for your work. Appreciate all of you.
No
car? No new, well,
Checks in the mail.
it's
Next on Tim.
just for Director Hathorn, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then the last
Squeaky
thing,
wheel.
the last thing I have, I realize that we've been talking a lot in these meetings over the last year or so about our shared governance process, our new shared governance process. And we have never really given you the kind of the background on that. And so I've got a couple things. Tonight, I want to share the handbook that was developed for this as sort of as the guideline for you to take a look at. In March meeting, we'll give you an update on the different councils, but there's a page that's tagged that has a little flag on it that gets you to the roles in shared governance. And it's essentially an org chart or a flow chart that sort of demonstrates sort of how this looks. I'm going to back up a little bit though, and this, we started working on this in 2020. So during the pandemic, actually we started it right prior to the pandemic. And the pandemic really exposed some of the challenges in the existing system that we had. And the best way to describe it is it was pretty narrow and fairly top down. There was a college council made up of leadership kind of from across the college that met every couple weeks, and usually on a Friday afternoon, and sort of kind of talked through a lot of processes. And then there was a president's council that was made up of primarily of leadership from the associations and some administrative leadership. And those were the two groups that, really had policy come in front of it. There was usually a first, second reading for each of those, and came back, and it didn't allow necessarily for decisions to be made more broadly at the college. And what I've described it is at the appropriate levels. Everything kind of had to go up to the top to get that done there. And I think it's fair to say there was dissatisfaction across the college. I certainly was not a fan of it. It felt very top heavy to me. And so a group, this is all in the handbook, it actually talks about this process. A large group started in 2020 by doing research and really investigating best practices. They found models across the country. They did some interviews online and really looked at the structure and spent almost 4 years designing kind of the structure that you see in front of you. Last year was the first year that we really rolled it out and tried it. And as you would expect with any new, system, there was, challenges. We're still kind of working through it. But I'll say in the second year, we're starting to, I think, see some of the results, some of the pieces of it. And what you see on here, and I'll just again kind of explain this briefly, and then you can take a look at it and we can talk about it further. I just wanted you to understand as you hear about it coming through here, what the structure is. It's really taking that college council and now creating what are basically 5 different councils. So you'll see the Teaching and Learning Council, which, not surprising, really focused on policies and issues around our curriculum and our, the teaching and the education piece of the college. Student Support Council, for lack of a better term, really is focusing more on student policies and things impacting students. Melissa talked about the People and Culture Council that's really focused more on our employees. And so the climate survey really lives there in many ways. You've already heard about the Finance Council because of budget. And then there's an Operations Council, which is, kind of around all the facilities and the IT and the rest of that. So we thought about this. There's that old cartoon I called, how Bill becomes a law. And if you want to get something accomplished, how does that really happen at Clackamas Community College? And the way this is sort of designed is We've got these committees that report up into these councils that can bring forth ideas, but anyone can bring forth an idea, into one of these councils and say, this is something that, we want you to consider, want you to look at these proposals, and the councils then are empowered to, if it's something that isn't beyond their is within their purview, and doesn't impact, other councils, to often just make that happen. If there's not a financial impact, or there's something they can do, if that decision can be made at that level, at that committee level or that council level, to do that. When there are decisions or policies that impact more than one council or larger groups, they often will be worked through that appropriate council, maybe a couple of those councils, and they'll come up into what we call an oversight council, an oversight group. And that's made up of the chairs of each of the councils. There's actually 2 co-chairs for each one, and then several members of the executive cabinet and myself. And we will oftentimes look at those, and if we need more information, we send it back, or if we have to rule on something, we'll rule on that. And then finally, if there's a policy that we need, a college policy that we need the board to approve that's within your purview, that's what moves through this entire process. So it could be something that, started at a committee, worked through its council, worked up through oversight, and gets in front of you for your consideration. But many things you will never see that will, get resolved somewhere else. So when we talk about shared governance as being this much broader, more inclusive, this is now literally dozens and dozens of folks on campus now that are part of this process that get to do that. Is it perfect? No. We still need to continue working through it. We've heard feedback that it's hard for some staff to really track all of this, because to go to all these meetings is a lot, and that wasn't the intention. We really wanted, to provide information on the web and elsewhere so that people can go get what they need, or if they're focused on an issue, they can find that out. But we're still trying to, work through the communication pieces of it. And it, and still just figuring out sort of what lives in shared governance, what lives without. There's some other things that we're still working through. But I would argue, and I would say we've done some presentations, and we've gotten some requests from some other schools too about this, because they've heard about it in our process. It's much better than what we had, and it continues to improve. So this is really more for your information. As I said, we'll have another presentation from from each of the councils in March to update you a little bit on the work that each one's doing, so you can know that. But I wanted you to have this information. Any questions about this or anything else I talked about tonight?
No, it's great to have this information, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it sooner even. It's an
Yeah,
excellent piece.
I apologize for that. That was something that I missed. I really should have had that in front of you probably about a year ago.
And I assume it's being new as it is, right? It's a year. Has it been a year?
We're in our 2nd year of implementation.
And it seems, from my perspective, it looks unwieldy. Is it becoming wieldy?
I would say that it's still a little bit unwieldy, and that's what we're trying to get through as we really learn all these processes and get more comfortable with
Familiarity, right? I would think.
Yeah.
It could work better as you go through it, but it does seem it's a lot, right?
Yeah, and part of it's messy, and part of it is when you're involving so many people in different things too. They're we're putting a structure on that and really trying to make sure that we have as much involvement as we can, and that is not always as clean as you would imagine.
Tim, how do you know that it's successful? We heard, you've got this a number of measurements that are going on right now.
Yeah.
Is there a way to link maybe some of what goes on in the shared governance and also some of the data that's being collected to understand if that's being successful for you, right? And is it employee engagement? Are there reports of improved data from decision making or other things that are collected by this that would suggest that it's working?
Yeah, I'll ask Ashley if she has thoughts on this. You can think about it for a second, but I will say, we did at the end of last year, we did a survey just about, perceptions about it and what people thought. We got some feedback around that. So we'll continue to do that and see if that's improving anything. But Ashley, do you have any other thoughts off the top of your head about how we can show? Yeah. Sorry to put you on the spot. And Lori, yeah, because we have I missed it too. We have the oversight group and
This
then we
isn't
have.
more work for you though, by the way.
No, we have a process support group too, that their whole job is to really be watching this and going along. So.
Yeah, so that's why Lori, process support. So I did help a bit with some of the surveys that were happening, but I'll hear it.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm co-chair of the process support group along with Jen Miller. And we had a assessment subcommittee or subgroup working on assessment for the last year. So they released a spring survey, not as robust because all the councils are new. This process support group was new. We're all kind of getting our feet underneath us. And so we measured a lot of things of workload, how many committees are you serving on, or council serving on, how many hours of that is of a month are you spending on council work, who's co-chairs or serving as a member versus someone who has an interest in the committee. Talked a lot about communications, the challenges of finding information because with part of that unwieldy part is that each council has its own webpage that has its own minutes and agendas and other things. And so trying to find systems that work for people to easily understand what's going on and have opportunities to participate. So looking for a more robust survey this spring, hopefully, but we have a lot of priorities that we're all working through, but yeah, just improvement.
I think it's important when you roll out large structures like this, you do have to sort of remind yourself that you're trying to make it better, right? And you have to measure things in order for that to happen, right? And I think one of the things that comes of this as a result of this can be a much higher engagement across the board, right? People feel empowered when they have a role in the decision making happen inside of an organization, right?
Right. I think another part of it is allowing work to happen at the appropriate level and having that trust in those people doing that work so you don't feel like you have to be part of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So we are, I'm leading a work group right now because of the survey results of the challenges of communication and people were missing something that we used to have, college council that used to meet twice a month for an hour and a half. And it was a place for a lot of information sharing. Policy work also went through that. But because people are missing this component of communication and information sharing, we are looking to restart a new version of it that is not a decision-making body, but can help support some of those things, the components that people are missing.
Yeah, this is a continual learn and adapt program, right? So.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Thanks you guys for stepping in.
Anything else?
Nothing else.
All right. Ryan, you have a report.
So the CCC Foundation invites you to join them for their annual appreciation open house on February 17th.
4 to 6 p.m. in the Wachino Welcome Center. The event is a chance to celebrate you, faithful donors, supporters, and volunteers. And there'll be a short program at 5 p.m. featuring CCC students from Associated Student Government. And that's what this card's about. So please RSVP if you can join. The foundation is also hosting a food drive for the food pantries during this event. So bring non-perishable, unopened, and unexpired food or personal hygiene item with you to help restock the pantry shelves after a busy holiday season.
Jane?
Can give the OCCA report. OCCA is gearing up for the 2026 legislative session where, and this is actually, I'm just going to read this. This is something from our executive director, and I think it really summarizes like kind of a way we need to look at what's happening at the legislative session and how we can work on it. But OCCA is gearing up for the 2026 legislative session where our collective voice will matter more than ever. Oregon is facing real budget challenges, but community colleges are not the problem. We are the solution. Community colleges deliver the skilled workforce Oregon needs, provide affordable pathways for students of every age and background, and anchor local economies in every corner of the state. And I think that's a nice summary of some of our strengths of that we'll have to kind of come back to. We've also have in the legislative priorities, the board approved, and I think you mentioned these last time, Ryan, but I'll mention them again. The top priorities are protecting the Community College Support Fund, the CCSF, from a 5% budget reduction, preserving access to the Oregon Promise Program, and protecting career pathways programs from elimination. Those are sort of like our three top priorities. We're going to be monitoring and evaluating the Oregon Higher Education Coordination Act of 2026 proposal. I'm not quite sure what that is, but we're going to be monitoring it. The Associated Students of the University of Oregon's proposal on student fee autonomy, dual credit instructor qualifications and parity administrative rule change, which is something that's been going on like forever. Public meetings laws and Oregon Government Ethics Commission rule on meals and serial communications. Oh, the meals. They may be going. Oh, well. Short-term workforce Pell, 2026 implementation update, and a Bachelor's of Applied Science and Education, the HEC approval process. So those things are going to be talked about and dealt with in various committees and subcommittees. So OCCA's will have our eye on that. Coming up on the 29th, which is next Thursday, Lunch and Learn, which is going to be about advocacy for the 2026 legislative session. I encourage people to go to these. It's going to be a really good overview, and that's at noon on next Thursday, and you can sign up on the OCCA's website. And coming up in April will be the All Oregon Academic Team Luncheon, which will be Friday, April 17th at Chemeketa, which will be here before we know it. I can't believe how fast that's happening. And also CTE month. And this is where I wanted to ask Lori to kind of jump in here because she's been working on a lot of that. But anyway, tell us, Lori, tell us.
All right. February 18th, the Wednesday, is CTE Day at the Capitol. It's also our lobby day at the Capitol. You all should have gotten a calendar invite from me for a hold on the day. This is the day where all the community colleges converge at the Capitol and really demonstrate our impact on the workforce. For those of you who've been around pre-COVID, we used to take over the steps and inside with displays of all of our CTE stuff. We had ice carving and semis and EMTs and all sorts of displays. We haven't been inside the Capitol since then because of COVID and then construction. So this is our first year back inside, being able to have those displays. So we're really excited to have that space again. Our wildland fire program will be represented this year. So all the colleges will be down there. Legislators and staffers are invited to come down and peruse the displays. And then we make appointments with our legislators and have meetings throughout the day. Also, I'll be recruiting students. Samuel, I just forwarded you an email of hoping to get some AHD students to participate with us. It's a really fun day for those who've been with us. It's a little bit chaotic. It's a lot of fun getting the student voices up with our legislators and really being heard. Something new this year, OCCA is hosting a breakfast from 7:30 to 9 is the tentative schedule at Willamette University. So you can just pop over there, say you're with OCCA, and get a free breakfast to power us through the day. Right now we have 4 appointments with legislators, but I just sent out the request on Monday, so I'm assuming we'll get quite a few more. And that's it. Any other questions?
Great, thank you, Lori.
You bet.
Yes.
Lori, I'm glad that you told us the date because I had no idea when I read your message.
Oh, you declined it. Should I
Well,
resend it?
because I had no idea.
Okay, I'll resend it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, Ryan? Anything else? Irene? No. I'm leaving you for the last.
I just want to confirm the state of the college is a week from this Friday?
Yes. Oh, I forgot you were on vacation. Any comments?
Just because of it's Board Appreciation Month. I appreciate all my colleagues, by the way, very much, right?
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be on this board with all of you,
Terrific. Thank you very much. We're glad you're back.
especially with you.
Oh. Are there any other questions from Mr. Prince? Do you have anything for us? If there is no further business, the Clackamas Community College Board of Education meeting is adjourned.